welcome back. Now, stage 6 blackouts are putting businesses at serious risk. Business Unity South Africa is sounding the alarm bell, saying the economic impact is catastrophic. It's blasting government for not allowing private sector intervention quite sooner. So let's get more on this from Business Unity CEO Cas Kuvadia. Thank you for your time, Cas. Always a pleasure talking to you. Were you surprised at all by the announcement yesterday that 4 p.m. load shedding, stage 6 rather blackouts would be implemented?
Well, it is surprising in many ways, but in some way it's also something that one was expecting at some point or other, simply given the problems at Eskom and the difficulties in sorting those problems out for a range of reasons. The CEO had indicated that there's sabotage there. This was all, the situation was exacerbated by the illegal wage strike by some unions, and all of that led to significant pressure on the system and hence stage 6 load shedding. So, in some ways this was coming. As the minister said yesterday, it's the first time in our history. And we are happy that some progress has been made since yesterday, in that it appears that some agreement or progress has been made in the wage discussions. Announcement was made that workers will be back at work this morning, and hopefully they can, with speed, deal with the maintenance issue, then we can avoid a stage 6 load shedding today. But bottom line, we are in crisis from an energy point of view, and what we've said in the statement is that we need to utilize, under the leadership of government, all the capacity and expertise available in the country, and we need to remove all barriers to private sector generation of power.
What do you make of the strike action by workers? There have been reports coming out of intimidation of workers whether workers not participating in the strike. How do you think it's been handled?
So I mean, the minister indicated yesterday in the press conference that intimidation of workers is just not acceptable under any circumstances. You have the right to strike, but do it legally. So this was an illegal strike according to Eskom, and at a time when our country is trying to rebuild our economy, it's trying to put the country onto a sustainable economic growth path, at a time when Eskom is under severe stress anyway, to embark on illegal strike action, we believe something that the union should consider very, very carefully. But intimidation of workers who want to work is totally unacceptable, and the law must take its course in that, and unions must take some responsibility for that. One understands the plight of workers and given rising costs of basic services and goods and services and so on. But we cannot embark on civil action in a way that actually destroys our ability to grow the economy, because then it becomes a vicious cycle, and that's something we can't get into.
Right. And just from Eskom's part, Cas, I mean, if they are negotiating in bad faith by obviously, accusing and alleging that staff, accusing staff of sabotage, if they are negotiating in bad faith, does that not sound the alarm on the nation, but also the business community and business confidence, investor confidence in the country?
Well, I'm not too sure what you mean by Eskom negotiating in bad faith. I'm not aware of their negotiations with workers. What we are aware of are public statements, and certainly in briefings that the CEO and his team have made to business, that there are still elements of the previous sort of administration in Eskom, and those elements are responsible for sabotaging some of the equipment and some of the plants, and that this is being addressed in some way or other. So that's what we were talking about from sabotage point of view. I'm not too sure about what the negotiations of workers are, whether they're in good faith or bad faith, because we don't have information on that.
Right, point taken. I want to talk about, the impact on the economy and business. Usually when we see, blackouts and we invite BUSA to have a conversation, the main question I think for me as well would be understanding now the seriousness when it comes to the impact of, these blackouts to businesses, to the economy, to small, medium enterprises, to, investor confidence in South Africa. How serious is the blow right now?
Well, obviously too soon to compute what the impact of yesterday's load shedding was, but the previous load shedding have had serious impact on business. Businesses have lost hundreds of millions of rand. Cost of business has gone up and continues to go up because businesses need to put into place measures to counter load shedding, generators, inverters, and so on. Small and medium businesses in particular are very, very badly affected because they do not have the wherewithal to manage those increased costs. And consumers are affected. So the impact is severe. The impact on investor sentiment is severe. The minister indicated in his press conference yesterday that we're not alone in this. Japan had some blackouts, Australia had some blackouts, and that is true. The energy situation worldwide is a sensitive one and a volatile one, but we need to look at our own country first. And we need to ensure that given the state of our economy, given that we want to pull out all stops to actually increase investment, we have to put the best resources and capacity at play to ensure that we deal with the Eskom issue, but more importantly, we ensure that we have a mix of energy in our country such that we enable as much renewable energy, clean energy to get onto the grid as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and you also mentioned as well in your statement, Cass, that government intervention urgently needed at this point to ensure that we move away and out of load shedding. What does that intervention look like from government's perspective, rather, do you recommend?
Well, I think firstly we need to acknowledge that we have a crisis here. We have a severe crisis here. I think that government needs to lead by example. I think that if there is sabotage at Eskom and government is talking to the Eskom management all the time, then the government needs to deploy the necessary expertise and intelligence into Eskom to get to the bottom of that, identify the saboteurs and bring them to book. The issue about Eskom's debt and so on is an ongoing one, and that's something that government is looking at. But the other issue that government can do is be absolutely unequivocal that one of the critical ways of dealing with our energy situation is to get as many renewables onto the grid as possible, is to ensure, and we made progress on embedded energy. About 10 or 15 projects are now on the go and in the process of being put into place. We need to ensure that we do that with speed, and government has got to be absolutely unequivocal that they will remove any barriers to private sector energy generation and getting that onto the grid as quickly as possible. Eskom has made it very clear they want to do that, and the utilization of Eskom land in Mpumalanga, which was oversubscribed, is a way to do that. And it's those sorts of issues that government needs to take leadership in. It's got to be unequivocal, clear messages that this is the way we're going to sort this.
Well, we appreciate you speaking to us. Thank you so much, Cass Kapadia from Business Unity South Africa, for joining us this morning.